It's about an hour after the time I said that it's pretty easy to push the bushings in there. I was having a really hard time with the vise. I actually broke my vise. But what I learned something important here. I've been using an aluminum plate on either side of the vise because the vise has like little teeth in it, right? And I didn't want to mess up the bushings, so I had an aluminum plate on either side of the vise. Well, when the aluminum plate squeezes down here, the rubber will give, but the metal sleeve on the inside, that's pretty stiff and it's not going to give a bit, right? So I was squeezing it and all I was doing was putting more and more pressure on that metal sleeve, and I wasn't pushing the rubber in. So what I did, I got a couple of wood blocks and I drilled a hole just a little bit bigger than the metal sleeve, and then I lined it up so that the metal sleeve hole was even with the holes in the wood blocks, and then I cranked it down. Then the wood pushed on the rubber and the metal sleeve went into the wood, and it was no problem. And actually I used pine, and I missed the wood on one. I missed the hole, I should say, and all it did was put a little circle in the wood, so the wood was soft and didn't mess anything up. So anyway, now I've got these back on there, and I'm not sure if I've got them squeezed on far enough where I can get my my spacers in, but I'm hoping I do, and that's the next step, and we'll see how things go. Okay, because of something I learned as I was doing the other side, I'm going to actually flip this washer over, because my new bushings are different than the old bushings. If you look at this washer, it's cone shaped, and these old bushings, they had this indentation right there, and the outer part of the washer set on that lip around the outside. Well, these new bushings, that rubber bit is just flat, and so I just think it'll be better to do it this way. You know, maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. I don't think so, but this is just the way I want to do it. And then this one right here, it's also cone shaped. I'm going to put it so that the flat side faces the rubber, and then the spacer is going to go right there. Okay, this thing is still kicking my ass, so I'm taking a different approach. Instead of putting these washers on first, I'm going to try to do the ones on its back side, because that'll give me more room, and then, well, I'll figure it out when I do it. But I'm trying these first, and then put the bolt through that way. Okay, that was actually pretty easy. What I did, I put these back ones on first. I'm using a ratchet extension to hold them in place. That's going all the way through into the centerpiece. And then I'm going to put the front washers on and slide the bolt through at the same time. This should be much easier. I discovered as I was trying to get those bushings or the washers in, the spacers, that there's apparently a thick side and a thin side on those bushings, a thick side and a thin side. I didn't realize that. I just thought that they were both the same. And apparently on the other side of the car, I put two thick sides on the inside, and I needed the thin sides need to be on the outside and the thick sides, or vice versa. The thick sides need to be on the outside, the thin sides need to be on the inside. So here's the setup I was using to compress these in here. With the wood on one side, the wood just allows the metal piece through the middle to slide into the wood, and then the aluminum on this side pushes the bushing together. And this is my cheap vise, my broken vise that doesn't close all the way because the threads are stripped. I won't mention the brand name, but I'm never going to buy another one again because it sucks. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention, as I push these together in the vise, I jiggle it up and down too, because that helps seat the bushing in there. So when you're doing this on your own, just remember to jiggle it, because I learned that really helps to seat the bushing. Alright, so I'm going to try this one more time. All the things I've learned should be pretty simple. So let me see, I'm going to put these bushings and spacers, or these washers and spacers here. Take this, and I drop them all. Let me do it this way. Get it lined up there. Get the spacers and washer together. Slide it in there. Use the extension to guide it through. Alright, so we got that done. Now I need to get this spacer and washer in. Get it off from the pants. Oh my goodness, it looks like there's going to be room. It's snug, which I guess it should be. Need something to push it down in there. Alright, that might be working. Slide this on. Until I'm all lined up. I'm close to being lined up. Let me go through. There we go. Oh yeah. We got it now. That goes right through. Look at that. And I got my last washer and my nut. Oh, I feel very relieved having gotten the spacers back in right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it tonight, but I'll do it tomorrow. I'll just take off. Apparently I've got the bushings backwards on the other side of the car. Because I can, looking at it now, I can tell that's got to be like a millimeter thicker than that side of it. So when I reverse it, everything should be fine. I'm going to use the impact wrench to tighten this up for the most part, but I'm going to finish it off with the torque wrench. I got to go inside and look at the JTIS to see what the torque value is, but I'm going to torque to the right value. Wrong way. Alright, and the last step here, well, not the very last step, but close to the last step, I need to lift this thing back up, put the ball joint back in the vertical link, and bolt it down. So to do that, I'm going to have to take these wires off. Alright, now that I got the nut started, I don't have to worry about the thing falling down. I'll get these out of here before I forget them. And then I'll have to look up the torque value on this too, but I just want to get it started. Alright, so I'll torque those down, get some zip ties, zip tie that back in place, put the tire back on, and I'm done.